Seekonk Speedway podcast series is a production of Seekonk Speedway and Souza Media. For more information on Souza Media, visit kylesouza.com. And for more information on Seekonk Speedway, visit seekonkspeedway.com. Ladies and gentlemen, another edition of the Seekonk Speedway podcast series is underway. The green flag is out on this week's edition. Want to thank everybody once again for joining us here. Appreciate your support. And without the listeners, of course, we wouldn't even do the podcast. So appreciate everybody for tuning in as we get ready to talk about a great weekend of racing on August 11th, 12th with our Fast Friday and our NASCAR Saturday divisions. And also we had the monster trucks in town on Sunday with a great show, their second and final short track experience here at the Action Track of the East for the 2023 season. We'll look forward to hopefully welcoming them back next year. But it was a great 3-day weekend of racing. We're going to start by recapping our Fast Friday series. Then we will move on to our NASCAR Saturday, and we will chat about the upcoming final 2 races of the regular season in August as we inch closer and closer to the playoffs in 2023 here at Seekonk Speedway. If you're new to the podcast at Seekonk, welcome. My name is Kyle Souza, the owner of Souza Media. Want to once again thanks everybody for joining us. And if you've been a long-time listener, welcome back. If you're a first-time listener, hello. And we're going to have a couple drivers on here on this week's edition of the podcast to hear what they have to say, at least one driver. And they are going to be some front runners here in our 2023 season, as I'm actually messaging back and forth with one of them right now, a Fast Friday driver, to see if we can get him on here in the next couple of minutes. But let's start off with Fast Friday. Maybe talk about the Seekonk Grand Prix Bandolero divisions, both of them, starting with the Bandolero Bandits. And in their 15-lap main event on Friday night, it was once again a side-by-side photo finish between Parker Davis and Nick Uhrig Jr. Now, 1 week before, it was Nick Uhrig Jr. picking up the win. It was Parker Davis picking up the win. That was on August 4th. Davis won. And then this past Friday on August 11th, the roles were reversed. With the winner, it was Nick Uhrig Jr. behind the wheel of the number 11, taking down the feature win. And this was a very competitive battle. And when it came down to the final few laps, these two drivers have been racing each other so clean in this division the last couple of weeks, racing for the win. And it was once again a battle right down to the final inches. Of course, those who don't know, I work on the flag stand on Friday night as well. And man, it was right below me. I was having trouble deciding who was going to win until they came right down and came right across the start-finish line. But timing and scoring says that it was Nick Uhrig Jr. taking down his second career win and second win of the season. Parker Davis finished in the runner-up spot. Great run for him. Sam Macedo was third. Mason Silva and Mike Hannafin rounding out the top 5. When you take a look at the playoff battle, remember 6 cars make it in the Bandolero division. Right now in the Bandits, 6th place is Ryder Aguiar, and he leads by just about 40 points over Luka Dibb, so he's feeling pretty good. Looks like he's going to make it. It looks like it's going to be Uhrig, Macedo, Davis, Hannafin, Silva, and Aguiar to decide the Bandolero Bandit Championship in the playoffs in September. In the Bandolero Outlaws, the little bit older of the Bandolero drivers here at Seekonk Speedway, 7th feature win of the season for Ryan Van Ness Jr. in that yellow and black number 11. Oh my goodness, has he had quite the season of success here at Seekonk Speedway. We do not see this very often. We did see it last year with Chase Sylvia in this division. But man, this was a very tight battle once again down to the finish. I know Van Ness won it by 1.3 seconds, but the battle between himself, Andrew Gomes, Bryson Robideau, it was very close. And Van Ness ends up out front once again at the end. Seems to be in the right place at the right time with a fast car. And that is a great combination for Ryan Van Ness Jr. He wins it. Bryson Robideau second, Andrew Gomes third. Gomes has been on the podium a couple times here in the last couple weeks. After a little bit of a slow start to the season, we have seen some speed out of that number 10. We'll see if he can hang on here in the middle portion of the season and have a good run and be ready to go. 4th place was Mikey Lafort, his best run of the year in that number 19, and Colin Van Ness rounding out the top 5. You take a look at the playoff standings, top 6 make it in this division as well. Looks like it's going to be Van Ness and Van Ness, Ryan Van Ness Jr. and Colin Van Ness, Bryson Robideau and his brother Brent Robideau, Andrew Gomes, and then one other driver. That battle for 6th right now, Zachary Keith leads over Dylan Calabro by 14 points. That is a pretty close race. Each position on the track is 2 points, so it means 7 spots separating Zachary Keith, who's in right now, and Dylan Calabro, who is just out. So we'll see how that shakes out here in the next couple of weeks. Sport 4 division was also on the track Friday night. 25 laps the distance, and a first career winner in this one was Richie Johnson behind the wheel of the number 8, the TTM Motorsports mount. Man, he's been coming so close so far this year to getting to victory lane for the first time. Somebody that started on our thrill shows and has worked their way up to our Fast Friday series and been so competitive at it behind the wheel. And good to see Richie Johnson take down his first win of his career on Friday night. I know it's different than winning on a thrill show. And when you take a look at how his season has gone, we knew this moment was coming, and it came in a big way on Friday night. First career win for Richie. Jared Freitas finished in the second spot, 3 feature wins this season, another podium finish for him. Henry LaValle was in third, a driver that has not won yet this year but been very consistent. Taylor Bowser and Mike Eaglefort rounded out the top 5. You take a look at the Sport 4 championship battle and the battle for 8th, which is the final spot in the playoffs. Daniel Hayes right now holds that spot. He leads it by just 8 points over Justin Leduc, who's been very strong the last handful of weeks. Leduc didn't have a great night on Friday for his standards, I guess, considering how he's run the last couple weeks. He did finish in 7th. But Daniel Hayes by 10 points right now, the final car in the playoffs. We will see if he can hang on as we get closer and closer to that September playoffs. The cutoff for Fast Friday, the final night to get in, is the 25th of August. So we'll see how that shakes out for Daniel Hayes. Justin Leduc in the 9th spot, and Christine Cavallero not out of the water either. She is 7th, but only 18 points ahead of the cut. So we'll see how that shakes out in the Sport 4. Helger South Coast Power Equipment Pure Stocks were also on the track. Jared Cadera taking down his first feature win of the season in the number 20. Another driver we have seen get speed under the hood so far in 2023, but not visit victory lane entering Friday night. He was able to change that, taking down his first win of the year in a great battle, a side-by-side battle between he and Mike Hendricks coming off turn 4 to the checkered flag. And, man, this was another close one when they came across the start-finish line. It was hard to see who picked up the win until the timing and scoring helped us out, but it was Jared Cadera. I did see that. He inched his nose out in front to take down his first win of the year. Mike Hendricks finishing in 2nd. Nick Brightman finished in 3rd, Greg Perry 4th, and Sam Lincoln 5th. However, some technical infractions changed the finish, so the official top 5 at the end was Cadera, Hendricks, Perry, Lincoln, and Ethan Souza. Nick Brightman dropped back to a 6th place finish due to technical infraction. In the pure stocks, looks to me like the playoff field might be set here. Ethan Souza, Scott Custodio, Danny Massa, Mike Hendricks, Sam Lincoln, Jared Cadera, Timmy Olette, and Greg Perry right now hold the 8 spots. And Perry is 30 points ahead of Don Kudamaj. So, barring an issue, looks like the pure stock title field might be set here, headed for the final 2 weeks of Fast Friday regular season competition. And in the next pit stop, Legend Cars on Friday night for the first time in his career. It was Richie Helger Jr. taking down the feature win. And this is another one, been a long time coming for him, couple of years now. Former Bandolero champion here at Seekonk Speedway, racing as part of our Friday night program for a few years now, specifically in the Legends the last couple. And had a great run on Friday night. Passed Isaiah Newcomb for the lead in the closing laps and the feature win. And it was no surprise there for him to jump out front and get that win. Knew that was coming before long as well. So Richie's first career Legend Cars win comes at a good time for him as the playoffs get closer. He's heating up. And the second place finish in this one went to Newcomb. He's got 3 wins and a second place finish in the last 4. Kevin Davis had a career run on Friday. Podium finish for him in 3rd. Cole Roby was 4th, and Brendan LaBelle rounded out the top 5. The Legend Cars, similar to the Pure Stocks, might be set here with Chase Sylvia in 8th. He is leading that final spot by 26 points over Davis. This one a little bit tighter, and could definitely see this changing if things don't shape out the way Chase Sylvia is hoping. So we will see how the Legends battle rolls on. If you're looking for more information on the points, as far as the Bandolero divisions, both of them, the top 6 at the end of the race on August the 25th will advance to the playoffs and the points. And then on Saturday, the top 8 in all of our divisions advance. Same thing at the end of August 26th. The other Friday divisions, the Sport 4, the Pure Stocks, and the Legend Cars, it is the top 8. So all the Seekonk divisions except the Bandoleros, it's the top 8. And once again, the final weekend of the regular season, August 25th and August 26th. At the end of those 2 nights, the drivers in the top 8 in the championship will advance to the playoffs. The drivers that are not will not be eligible to compete for the 2023 Seekonk Speedway Championship. So you can check out online at seekonkspeedway.com where our point standings are located, and you can also follow along on our website, our news section, and on Facebook during the week as we profile each week how tight the championship battles are on both nights. Friday night, we also have Everett's Auto Parts Triple Crown Night at the races as part of our 2023 season coming up this Friday, August 18th. It's the finale of the Everett's Auto Parts Triple Crown for all 5 divisions. This is similar to our playoff format with deciding who wins the playoff Triple Crown Championship. And it's a chase format. There are 4 drivers eligible in each division, and the driver that beats the other ones to the finish of this Friday's race is the winner. Extra laps in the Pure Stocks and the Legend Cars, as well as the Sport 4s. All 3 of those divisions will go for 30 laps. And also, coming up on Friday night, we will have, of course, the second to last race of the regular season for these divisions as part of this. So let's just quickly go through the drivers who will race for the Everett's Auto Parts Triple Crown titles. In the Bandit Bandits, it'll be Parker Davis versus Mike Hannafin, Sam Macedo, and Nick Uhrig Jr. In the Outlaws, it will be Brent Robideau versus Ryan Vaness Jr. versus Colin Vaness versus Andrew Gomes. In the Sport 4s, it'll be Crystal Murray versus Mikey Lafort, Jared Freitas, Henry Lavallee will be also battling there. In the Pure Stocks, it is Scott Custodio, Mike Henricks, Sam Lincoln, and Ethan Souza. And in the Legend Cars, Brendan LaBelle will battle Isaiah Newcomb, Josh Parsons, and Nick Bulkley. So, again, Friday night, coming up, August 18th, 5 divisions strong with both Bandoleros, the Sport 4, the Pure Stock, and the Legend Cars, and all 5 of them will be racing as part of the 2023 Everett's Auto Parts Triple Crown finale. Again, the driver that beats the other 3 in their respective division will move on as the champion. It's the final round in the Everett's Auto Parts Triple Crown, so we'll see how that goes on Friday night. Speaking of Friday nights, we're going to take a quick break on this week's edition of the Race Day Rewind podcast series, and we are going to welcome on our first guest of this week's edition. He is a Friday night regular. He is a part of the finale of the Everett's Auto Parts Triple Crown, and he is a major threat towards the championship, and he just happens to be our most recent winner in the Seekonk Grand Prix Bandolero Bandits. Nick Uhrig Jr. will join us on this week's edition of the podcast right after this. All right, welcome back to the Seekonk Speedway podcast series. Here, our first guest of this week's edition of the Race Day Rewind has come on to the Souza Media hotline, I guess if you want to call it here. And I mentioned just before the break, he is one of the final 4 racing for the Everett's Auto Parts Triple Crown this Friday night, and certainly would not be surprised at all to see him as one of the final 4 racing for the championship come September here at Seekonk Speedway. He is Nick Uhrig Jr. And Nick, thanks for joining us here in the podcast. Tell us about the last couple of weeks. I mentioned in the last segment, you and Parker Davis have had 2 weeks in a row where you're racing side by side for the win, and it's come right down to the wire. And, week before, Parker got you by a little bit. This week, you got Parker by a little bit, but it's been some great, clean racing that we've seen the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, we've had amazing racing with Sam Macedo, Parker, and Mike. We all can really race door to door with each other and really not make any contact. And it's great because we're friends often on the track. Well, not really on the track, but
Yeah, you don't want to be friends on the track, believe me. When you're friends on the track, it never ends well. Is that right? Usually.
Yeah.
At least. I mean, so you've had some great runs here with Parker the last couple of weeks. Certainly it's been, very interesting to watch you guys race so clean, which we don't always see in racing. And I think I mentioned to the drivers, the Bandoleros at the drivers meeting last week that, knock on wood, hopefully all the divisions would race this clean. Doesn't always work out that way. But Nick, this Friday night coming, wait a minute, you get 2 feature wins now in your career. Both came this year in the Bandits. But you've got an opportunity this Friday to pick up the Everett's Auto Parts Triple Crown Championship. And this is very similar to our playoffs where there's 4 drivers entering the final race, and the one who beats the others in that race is going to win the Everett's Auto Parts Triple Crown. Tell us about what you think your chances are going into Friday, and does it change anything for you going into the race knowing that you're racing for the Triple Crown?
It really does change a lot because with our win this week, we're going to need a start at the end of the redraw, and we need to make our way up through this field just to get a chance at the Triple Crown Championships. And this year, we're hoping for the Triple Crown Championships, and the Drive for the Cup Championships. We're hoping that we can get both of them, but most of the time that doesn't work out. It's really going to be hard just to get through the pack this week because there's Sam Macedo, Parker Davis, and Mike Hannafin that's in it, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely going to be hard. And Nick's right. I mean, you win a race, you start at the back of the qualified car. So in the Bandits, that's probably, I'm guessing here, but probably 6th, 5th, maybe somewhere in there. That means his competition is most likely going to start in front of him. And he's right. You look at the Triple Crown finalists coming up in the Bandit division on Friday night. There's 4 very successful drivers from this year so far that have advanced to this Final Four. He mentioned them. It's himself, along with Parker Davis, Mike Hannafin, and Sam Macedo. It's going to be very difficult to pick a winner on Friday when you try to guess ahead who might win the Triple Crown. Going to be tough to see. But Nick, speaking of the rest of the season, we've got 7 races remaining, 6 races remaining now actually. 2 more before the playoffs begin, and then 4 weeks in September with the playoffs. Obviously, you've had a great year. You've got 2 feature wins. I'm sure you're feeling really good about your chances, but what are the chances you think of you racing for this championship and trying to win in 2023 and become the track champion of the Bandits?
I'm pretty sure that there's a slim chance that we're going to be able to pull off the championships and the Triple Crown championships, but there's a bunch of people that are in the final 6 as of right now, and it's going to be hard to win this championship, and just really going to be exciting over this next course of 6 weeks. You'll see a bunch of, I think, new guys will probably be up front battling, like Ryder Aguilar, he might be up front. There's a bunch of guys that also, like Silva, he might be up front also. But it's going to be a tough race for this championship.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be very close. I think Nick's right. I mean, there's some guys like Ryder Aguilar and Mason Silva that have been getting better and better, and they're coming on strong here at the end of the season, and they're going to be racing for the championship. So, it's going to be close, starting with the Triple Crown finale in the Bandits this Friday, and, of course, moving on to the final 6 weeks towards chasing the championship and championship night coming up on the last Friday in September. Nick, I know every car has got a lot of sponsors and a lot of people that help. Even in the Bandoleros here, it's always great to talk to our youth racers at Seekonk Speedway. Who are some of those people that help you get to the track and make it possible for you to go out there and try to win these races and chase these championships?
Yeah, I'd like to thank my dad, my mom for telling the car this week, Ryan Finesse, New England Highway Technology, Oxford Builders, DMS, International CDL, everyone who comes down the shop weekly to work on this car to get us fast up front. And I'm going to try to get a championship for them.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting, certainly, Nick, and we do wish you the best of luck. Want to thank you for spending a few minutes here with us on the podcast, and I'm sure we'll talk to you here, at least if not as a winner, I'm sure on the podium here in the next couple weeks. I'm sure we'll be talking to you at the track again real soon for the fans.
Yep.
All right, that's been Nick Uhrig Jr. Thanks to Nick for joining us in this week's edition of the podcast. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to start talking about NASCAR Saturday and the racing that took place on Saturday night, August the 12th, including 2 finales of the Triple Crown. Stay with us. All right, welcome back to the third segment of this week's edition of the Seekonk Speedway Race Day Rewind podcast series. Great interview with Nick Uhrig Jr. So, Happy to speak with him here, get a little bit of insight on what he's thinking going into the next couple weeks. It's great to talk to the youth racers here at Seekonk Speedway and see everything that they're about. And I know they get very excited to join us here on the podcast. And again, great to see Nick joining us here on the podcast. So let's move on to our Saturday night divisions from this past week. Two finales of the Everett's Auto Parts Triple Crown in the Pro Stocks and the the late models. Let's start off with the late models. 45 laps, green to checker on Saturday night. I'm all messed up. Saturday night, late model racing, green to checker for the finale of the Everett's Auto Parts Triple Crown. And it was Chase Belcher crossing the line first to pick up the win. In that one, Vinny Renegado finished in second. Connor Souza, Luke LeBrun, and Ryan Finesse rounded out the top five. However, post-race inspection changed the results of the late model main event. Chase Belcher did not pass the inspections, and that meant that Vinny Renegado took down the feature win, another win on the season for him. That moved Connor Souza up to second, Luke LeBrun up to third, and I mentioned Luke because he is the 2023 Everett's Auto Parts Triple Crown champion in the late models. He beat out Jacob Burns, Mark Jennison, and Charlie Rose to pick up that crown. Again, he finished ahead of them in the race, and that won him the Triple Crown. So Renegado wins the race. LeBrun, the Triple Crown winner in the late models. The American Canadian Tour is coming to town this coming Saturday night for 123 laps in a special event. And you take a look at that, that means the late models are going to be off on Saturday night in their main event. So that means that there's only one more race remaining, August 26th, before the cutoff for the late model championship battle. And you take a look at it, it is very close. Perhaps the closest of all of our divisions is the late models. Luke LeBrun, Jacob Burns, Mark Jennison, Vinny Renegado, those guys are locked into the playoffs no matter what. Charlie Rose is fifth in the points. He's 23 points ahead of the cut. He's followed by Chase Belcher, who's 21 points ahead. Tyler Tomasi is seventh, just 7 points ahead. And Connor Souza right now on the bubble for the playoffs. He is just 8 points ahead of Richie Murray, 9 points ahead of Bill Goodrow, and 21 ahead of Scott Servadinsky. So we've got Rose, Belcher, Tomasi, Souza, Murray, Goodrow, and Servadinsky positioned between 5th and 11th. And out of those drivers, 4 of them are going to make the playoffs. The rest are not. So we'll see how that shakes out. Again, see those standings online at SeekonkSpeedway.com. The second Triple Crown race of the Saturday night slate was the Pro Stock division in their main event. And taking down the win and the Everett's Auto Parts Triple Crown Championship in the Pro Stocks was Bobby Pellin III, the former late model champion. Had a fantastic car early in the race. Fell back a little bit, charged his way back up, was involved in a little bit of a jingle, and in the end, it was enough for him to pick up the championship in the Everett's Auto Parts Triple Crown, as well as the win in the 40-lap main event, 60-lap, Triple Crown 60 laps on Saturday. Dick Benoit came up just one spot short of winning the Triple Crown. He finished in second behind Pellin. John Studley came in his first appearance of the year, and he gets a podium, third place. Mike Brightman was fourth, and Rick Martin rounding out the top 5. The other drivers racing, of course, that didn't win the Triple Crown were Benoit, Brightman, and Dave Darling. And you take a look at the Pro Stock Triple Crown, a rough and tumble race on Saturday night for sure. A lot of accidents, a lot of misfortune for some drivers. Mike Brightman led a lot of the race, buzzed his tires a little bit too much on a restart and spun out. He was not able to pick up the win on Saturday. I made a mistake on that too. Brightman was not in the Triple Crown finale. It was Dylan Estrella, the other driver. He was up front, leading with just a few laps to go. Contact from behind sends him around from Tommy Adams. Jacob Burns is involved in this wreck in a Nick Wascola Racing rental, his first ride of the season of the Pro Stocks. This one was wild, to say the least. And in the end, Bobby Pellin did everything he needed to do to win the championship in the Everett's Auto Parts Triple Crown. And in the meantime, he gets his first win of the season behind the wheel of the number 12. He's had a decent year as far as his finishes go, but a lot of speed in that car most of the season. And tell you what, you see what's going on in 2023 in the Pro Stocks. Anything can happen here heading for the final 2 weeks and heading for the playoffs. Right now, the battle for 8th is tight. As it shapes out right now, Com Scully Jr. holds that final position by 25 points over Mike Rotundo. And big story here. Dave Darwin is third in points. He says he is done racing for the year. And right now he holds a 34-point lead over the cutoff. He's probably going to fall out of the top 8 as long as both of these upcoming races run and everything shakes out how I think it's going to. But we'll see. He might still make the playoffs and not run the playoffs and get eliminated right away. We'll see how it shakes out here in the next couple of weeks. 2 more features were on the track on Saturday night. First, the Helger South Coast Parkwomen Sportsman Division was on the track, 25 laps, just 18 minutes to get this one off. A couple of accidents in the middle slowed it just a little bit. But in the end, taking down his second win of the season was Flying Ryan Lynham. He won all the way back on opening day. Has had a little bit of a tough summer at different times, racing very competitively inside the top 5 a lot of times. However, also not up at the front of the field. We've seen Ryan Lynham be Ryan Lynham at times, and we've seen him not be Ryan Lynham at times. It's been one of those years. But on Saturday night, he was certainly Flying Ryan. Jumped out front early and was not going to be denied, taking down the feature win. Second place was Adam Petty, another consistent run on his season. Randy Moretti was third, Craig Bianco finishing in fourth, and Colby Lambert rounding out the top 5. If you take a look at the championship battle in the Sportsman Division, heading for the final 2 weeks of the playoffs, and their finale of the Triple Crown is coming up this Saturday night. Currently in that 8th spot is Don Perry, and he leads by, 26 points over Ed Perry for the final spot. Jimmy Sylvia is 28 back, and Tyler Almeida is 31 back. So those guys are going to need a little bit of help if they're going to get up there and catch Don Perry. Again, check out the points, SeekonkSpeedway.com. Top 8 drivers advance in the Sportsman. That is going to come right down to the wire. Only other feature on Saturday night was the Chaz's Auto Body Sport Trucks. 25 laps the distance. And for the first time this year, Mike Duarte takes down the feature win in the number 50. He's been very consistent throughout the entirety of the summer. Just kept coming closer and closer to victory lane. And when it came down to the final few laps on Saturday night, he was the one to beat, taking down his first win of the season. In the number 50, Jake Veneta finished in the number 2 spot. Rick Martin was third, the defending champion. Amy Arsenal fourth, and Ethan Heilborn rounded out the top 5. I mentioned Triple Crown championship battles. 2 more to decide on Saturday. Bobby Pellin won the Pro Stocks. Luke LeBrun in the late models. The Sportsman and the Sport Trucks will decide the Triple Crown coming up on Saturday night, August the 19th. The Actor is also in town for their main event for 123 laps, and we'll have our Pro Stocks. In the Sportsman, it's Steve Axon versus Randy Moretti versus Chad Baxter versus Colby Lambert. And in the Sport Trucks, it is Jake Beneda versus Brittany Campbell versus Mike Duarte versus Darrell Church. And when you take a look at the both of these divisions really racing for the finale of the Triple Crown, it's pretty much undecidable out front who is going to take down this championship. You really could make an appearance for either of these drivers to win it. You could see either of them getting in to the Triple Crown championship position in the final couple of laps and racing for it. So we will see how it shakes out on Saturday night, August 19th, for the trucks and the Sportsmen in the finale of their Triple Crown events. Speaking of Triple Crown finales, speaking of drivers that are in the Triple Crown finales, speaking of recent winners, one's going to join us up next. NASCAR Saturday driver in the Chaz's Auto Body Sport Trucks, Mike Duarte, is up around the turn here. He's going to be on deck to talk to us about everything he's seen here in the 2023 truck season and his chances to chase the championship, including the Triple Crown coming up this week. Stay with us for a minute. Final guest on this week's edition of the Seekonk Speedway Race Day Rewind podcast series, and that is Mike Duarte. I mentioned he picked up the big win in the Sport Truck division this past Saturday night, and been a long time coming, I think, for him so far in 2023. A lot of speed in that truck over the course of the season. They just have not been in the right position at the right time like some of the other contenders have, who also have fast trucks, and been able to get the feature win. And this Saturday night, it all kind of came together for him. And Mike, I think that's a fair assessment, but tell us from your perspective, you look back at Saturday night, I think this really is a long time coming for you. You guys have been so fast all year, just couldn't quite get the luck you needed, and it seemed like it all fell in your hands on Saturday.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's like this year we've been right on the heels of all the fast trucks. anyway. It's just that one little gremlin that happens during the race that maybe if the caution came out, maybe if it didn't, maybe if I didn't mess up going in too hot into turn 3, I might have beat Brittany by 2 thousandths, and she would have lost by 2 thousandths. But either way, that was a hell of a battle that week. And then last week, it was kind of like one of those racing deals where I crossed up to 52, and we ended up, I made in contact and ruined both our races. It definitely wasn't my intent because I would probably still be the point leader after last week. So that's how racing goes. Sometimes you can be the fastest truck and not win every week. It's the truck division ain't no slouch anymore. It's there's a lot of good drivers, a lot of good trucks, a lot of great teams, and so sometimes you need that little bit of luck just to crack into victory lane, or if you got that rabbit's foot, like some people do.
Yeah,
Every week it seems like.
Yeah.
Like Rick Martin, man. I wish I had his rabbit's foot. I got to figure out where he's hiding it.
Yeah.
I'd love to grab one.
He's got the golden horseshoe in the last year or
Oh,
so,
yeah.
certainly. So let's take a look at it here. Let's start with this Saturday night. You got a win now in your books. Obviously, for the reasons of the Triple Crown, not an opportune time to pick up a win because you got to start at the back of the qualified cars. But, I mean, again, certainly speed in the truck enough to race with your other contenders. Of course, in the trucks, it's Jake Veneta, Brittany Campbell, Mike, and Daryl Church. What are your options here? How you feeling shaking up here to try to get through this pack and pick up this Triple Crown, which I know is one of the goals?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. Like, oh, this will be the week I win watch because it'll hurt me in the Triple Crown. But usually the Triple Crowns, I haven't even won a Triple Crown race in my sport truck career. I think I've missed this Triple Crown Championship 1 year against Chase Belcher. I finished right behind him on the track, and he ended up winning it. So that's the closest I've come. But it could be a blessing in disguise. It's like I'm going to stop behind him, so technically I'm not supposed to win, so I'm the underdog. So if I don't win, I wasn't supposed to. But the thing is, the way I've been looking at this year is like I'm one of the very few trucks on the outside that can go forward on a regular basis.
Very true.
Some people can't. They'll hang for a lap or two and then they're gone. But I seem to be that guy that'll hound you on the outside and be able to get the spot. So who knows? Maybe if I end up getting that 8 spot and starting spot, if I only qualify 4 again, then maybe I can work the outside to my advantage and I got 10 extra laps to do it. So I'm trying to look at the bright side. So we definitely got a fast truck. We're trying to find more speed every week that we do. I got a great crew behind me. I got a few sponsors that back me, and they got me in this position. And the way the playoffs are, the situation is you got to be in it to win it. So they got me in a position to be in it. So let's see if we can go get a win.
Yeah, the Triple Crown, of course, as Mike mentions, very similar to our playoff system. And this is kind of a similar setup to what's going to happen in September when these guys go into the final race of the season and they race each other. And whoever comes out on top of the others in that race wins the championship. And that starts this Saturday night in the sport truck. So, Mike, you say you got to be in it to win it. Other than being in it and being an opportunity, what's it going to take to win this championship? I assume consistency here, going down the stretch, obviously to advance yourself through each round. But do you think you're going to have to win again in order to win this championship?
I believe it's going to take one just to, you got to put that fear in the competitors. Be like, oh, it wasn't just a fluke. It was just one win. But the year I did win my championship back before the playoffs, I only won once. So that year too, but I was Mr. Consistency, and that's what I usually am. It's like I'm always there in the top 5, top 3, week in and week out. So the way I look at it, the way I drive, it's just I like to try to keep my nose clean and make them make the mistakes and make them make more than me. Because if you make a mistake and I'm always up there, it's gonna hurt you more than it'll hurt me if I make less. That's the way I look at it. So as long as I keep doing what I'm doing and keep my nose clean, stay out of business, you can't really control what everybody else does. You can only control what you do. Keep a smart head on it, in that helmet, man. It's just sometimes the pressure gets to you and you'll make a mistake that you shouldn't make. Take it the big picture. It's like you got your crew and you guys working hard. Don't do something dumb as a driver to ruin it for them. That's the way I think about it. So.
Yeah,
I want to keep the cool head under the helmet.
Yeah, you certainly had great speed all year, and certainly going to be a contender to become a 2-time track championship, which I know would be pretty cool in your career to win another track championship. Now, you mentioned those guys and girls and supporters and sponsors that are there to help you. I know you got a good crew that works with you in the pits for sure each week, which is a tough task in itself. Few less races this year, unfortunately, due to the rain. But I know all these people you want to give a thanks to, I'm sure, because they do work very hard to get you in this position.
Oh, yeah, I got my crew chief, George Church. He's been behind me since day one, and he used to do multiple drivers, multiple cars. I had multiple cars for a few years now. It takes its toll. Like maybe next year when we come back, I think we're just going to do the truck and that's it now. But I got his wife, Sandy. I got my dad, which without him, we wouldn't be as competitive either. I got my brother and Kyle. They're mainly just like a bunch of family and friends. Like a lot of the teams out there, that's what makes it more enjoyable too. You rather have a good group around you that you enjoy spending time with, especially in a stressful sport as racing.
Yeah.
And then I got EJ's Auto Service, Boss Ladies Graphics, who did a nice killer throwback Jeff Bodine scheme. I'm loving this thing.
Yeah.
Farrier
Very
and Sons Oil and Heating and Roach's Landscaping. They got me in this position. I just hope I can capitalize, make them proud, or even if I don't win it, just be in the picture. Being in the picture is it's like winning the championship in itself because the division is tough. It went from maybe like a couple of years ago, you had maybe 4, 5, 6 guys you looked at, and now it's 10 people, half the field.
Yeah.
Every week, you can't just rely on, I can beat this person. Everybody can beat you now.
Yeah.
It's like a mini late model division now. It's hard.
Well, it's very competitive. It's certainly become one of our more competitive divisions across both our nights on Friday and Saturday, and Mike has been very successful in it. I know it was only his first win of the year, but believe me when I say, and if you've been there to watch so far this year, he's been fast. He's been in contention just about every week to get up there and pick up a win, and he's able to do it on a Saturday night. Mike, we wish you good luck in the Triple Crown finale coming up this week, and also good luck racing for the championship. And if you happen to pull one of them out, we'll probably talk to you again here soon on the podcast.
Hopefully. I look forward to it if it happens. Thank you.
All right, that's been Mike Duarte. We're going to take one more break, and I'll be right back to wrap up this week's edition of the Race Day Rewind. Stay with us. All right. Music played a little bit here. Final segment of this week's edition of the Race Day Rewind. Just want to give everybody an update on what's going on here in the next week or so here at Seekonk Speedway as we wind down our regular season. 4 more events remain in the month of August to wrap up the regular season. 2 of them on Fast Friday and 2 on NASCAR Saturday. First up, I mentioned it earlier, Friday night, August 18th. Fast Friday is back on the track with 5 Triple Crown finale races. The Bandolero Bandits, Bandolero Outlaws, Sport 4s, Legend Cars, and Pure Stocks will all race in the Triple Crown finale. Saturday night, August the 19th, the AT Tour, Americans Canadian Tour of Late Models, is back for a big one. 123 laps in a special race there in their Spring Green 123. They're joined by the Pro Stock division for 40 laps, along with the finale of the Everett's Auto Parts Triple Crown for the Sportsmen and the Trucks. Friday, 7 o'clock, green flag. Saturday, 6 o'clock. Green flag. You can buy your tickets online at SeekonkSpeedway.com. That will save you some money on the day of the race. It's a little bit cheaper online than it is on the day of the race. I know I say that every week, but it's very important that you do that and you save yourself a few bucks. Following weekend, Friday night, August 25th, the final Fast Friday of the regular season. Our playoff fields will be set in all of our divisions. And then on Saturday night, August 26th, our playoff field will be set on Fast Friday. NASCAR Saturday, with the 2023 playoff field being set there for our Pro Stocks, Late Models, Sportsmen, and Trucks. This is going to be a very competitive conclusion to the month of August. I promise you that. You do not want to miss it. Again, SeekonkSpeedway.com for your tickets, SeekonkSpeedway.com, and our Facebook and social media pages for your updates and your news. And I mentioned these playoff standings. Look at them, SeekonkSpeedway.com. We also weekly do a story for each night to tell you who is where and what is left here for the playoffs and who has a good chance of getting in to the playoffs. Big thanks to Mike Duarte. Big thanks to Nick Uhrig Jr. for joining us. And a big thanks to Ed St. Germain for pushing the buttons to get the podcast together and out to the public. I'm Kyle Souza of Souza Media. Thanks for joining us on the podcast. And we want to see you at the track. Just 6 weekends of racing remaining for Friday and Saturday. The Labor Day Thrill Show and the Pumpkin Spectacular coming up in October. It is going to be a wild finish to 2023, and we want to see you enjoy it with us at the Seekonk Speedway. For now, thanks for listening to the podcast, and we'll talk to you all again real soon.